Hi everyone. So this is the breakdown of the project that you have coming up, the picture book analysis presentation. This is where you authenticate a picture book. So the assignment is in two parts. I just wanted to give you an assignment breakdown video because there are a lot of criteria, as you can see, that you should be discussing. And this week's material and videos and video presentations and video slides, or I'm sorry, presentation slides for you to review are all things that are going to help you to talk about these criteria more in depth. So this assignment is in two parts. The first thing that you need to do is to find a picture book, one that you would like to present to us and authenticate. So first, a picture book from any genre, really, with any subject matter is what I mean by that. So it can be about anything. It could be, there are subgenres within the genre, okay, of children's literature. So children's literature is its own genre, and then we have subgenres of that. So picture books, young readers, early readers, middle grade, YA lit. Okay, those are the main categories. YA lit is young adult lit. When we end the course, we'll be ending the course on a middle grade, a transitional middle grade book, which is Harry Potter. That series was really intended, really written for middle grade, and it's appropriate for middle grade. However, it's kind of jumped into Y adult lit because teenagers read it and adults read it as well. So it's really broken a lot of barriers. So it seems like an appropriate way to end this course. But in any case, this is your job. Pick a picture book that you want to talk about, one that you really like. It could be one that was read to you as a child and you just want to take a look at it and, review it as an adult, and that would be perfectly fine. As long as it gives you some good opportunities for analysis. Okay, so first, find a picture book from any genre. Identify the book by author, illustrator, title, publisher, and date, because please bear in mind that this may be a book that I haven't seen before. There are so many books. I have so many books. I've read so many books, but there are so many books. So just introduce the book to us, okay? And then in the video that you create, you're going to read the book to us, much like a teacher would to her class. And this is because a lot of you are studying to become teachers. Some of you are teachers or working with children, or were working with children. So pretend like in the video you're talking to your class, just like I'm doing right now. After reading the book to us, then you'll start to complete the second part of your assignment, and this is the bulk of it, is the authentication of the picture book. So this is something that I've been modeling for you in the videos that I've created all week. So I've presented a variety of picture books for you, and then I've read them to you, and as I was reading them, I started to authenticate them. Okay, so you can do this in one of two ways. You can either read the book first and then go back and authenticate it, analyze it, talk about it, or you can begin to authenticate it as you're reading the book. Either way is fine. So you will be, in order to authenticate the picture book, you'll begin by explaining what elements stood out to you, why you chose the book, why it appeals to you now, and this seems like a good way to lead into the criteria that you'll see below here, okay? And it begins here, format and first impressions, so on and so forth. Why does this stand up as a strong work for the genre of picture books? That's really what it means to authenticate the picture book, to explain why it represents a good example of what a picture book is and how a picture book functions, okay? Include a discussion of the following criteria, which you will see below here, with this, okay? So in this conversation, not all of them may apply to your book, and I put in here the one that I think may not apply to every single one, which is meaning of visual objects. So some picture books will have symbols, maybe some Freudian symbols, codes, or gestures. Not all of them may have that per se, but all of the other criteria here will definitely apply to the book that you choose, whatever book that may be. Use what we've talked about in class this week to help you, all the things that you've watched and all the materials that you've reviewed. Once you've filmed your video, submit it through the assignment link for grading, just as you always have. And I will be sharing with you in another video the resource that I think you should use because it's easy, it's free, and it saves your video in a format that doesn't take forever to upload, okay? Also, you do not have to be visible in your video, although it'd be nice to put faces to the names that I'm seeing in the gradebook and in the discussion board. But I should be able to see the pages of the book that you're discussing clearly and hear you clearly in your video. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the criteria that I'm wanting you to discuss. So format and first impressions. It's just as it says here. You're looking at the physical composition of the book, right? So this is a book as object type of observation. So look at the size of the book. Look at the shape. All picture books are not the same. They're made in different shapes. Some are squares, perfect squares. Some are rectangles. Take a look at why they've chosen. This is actually something that's really important. Why did they choose what they chose as far as the shape goes? I think that, and the size, I think that this is something that we don't often think about. Look at the cover, look at the end papers, the layout, the binding, the type of paper used. Is there a reason why the book is tall or wide or square? What do all of those things suggest that the book is going to be like? So that's format and first impressions. Second is mood and atmosphere. So when we look at media and how media is used, I feel like mood and atmosphere and style of art, they kind of like come together. I think very well as far and pictorial dynamics as well. They all really kind of blend into each other, okay, because one affects the other. So for mood and atmosphere, how are the color, the line, the shape, light and dark, black and white, how are these colors used to create the mood and the atmosphere of various scenes? And then as the story progresses, how does the mood and the atmosphere and the pictures change as the story changes? You can identify the media if you can. So sometimes you'll find a little note in the artist bio that will explain to you how the pictures were put together or what type of art they specialize in. So you might get a little bit of a clue there. Maybe something on the artist's website even will show you what kind of media is used if you can't look at it and tell, but there are slides that I've posted for you in order to decipher what is what and then what the effect of that media, that particular medium is used, artistically in picture books. So that should give you a good idea of where to go there. And then just reflect upon the importance of the artistic technique chosen. How does it contribute to the meaning of the book? And, the choice of the medium or media. A lot of times there is a combination of a few different techniques to create mood and atmosphere. The next criteria is style of art. So in this case, consider how the style of art is consistent throughout the book or is not consistent, if it changes, if there's a reason for that. Does the art resemble or reveal the influence of styles? I put here discuss in chapter 4.5, but we no longer use that text for this book, so you could just disregard that. But does it resemble or reveal the styles that I've discussed in the lecture slides for you to review this week? How would you describe the style? Are there any other artists' work that it reminds you of as far as picture book illustrators, who are often artists in their own right, by the way, themselves? How does the art in this book compare with that in any other works by the same artist? So again, meaning of visual objects, this may or may not apply to the particular book that you've chosen, but what you should do is look for symbols, Freudian symbols, if they're there. You may or may not recognize them, it's fine. But just take a look and see if there's anything that stands out to you. Like a red cape would definitely be a symbol, for instance, or like a red hat, something like that. Any codes or gestures that you can pick up just from what you've seen thus far. We haven't delved into as much literature as we're going to throughout the rest of the course, but just take a look and see if it applies. The next category is pictorial dynamics. So consider two-dimensional effects here. Consider the importance of size, location, composition, figure, and ground, movement from left to right, right to left, top to bottom, the movement of your eye throughout the book, and where your eye is directed as you're turning the pages, whether objects stand out or recede because of color. Do colors link objects together? Do they relate them somehow? Just take a look at how we see the main characters speaking to us. Are they close to us? Are they far away? Where's our point of view, in other words? And that really kind of leads into three-dimensional effects. So pictorial dynamic, because of the pictorial dynamics used, it creates the effect of either two-dimensional or three-dimensional, okay. And that kind of leads us right into three-dimensional effects. Examine the point of view, right? So pictorial dynamics establish the things necessary, the things that need to be put into place for point of view. It tells us how we're seeing the book, how we're engaging in the story. Are we looking from above? Are we looking from below? What is the focus? Are there long shots? Are there close-ups? Do we see like an overlap? How are light sources and shadows used? I think this will help you to understand what your position is as a reader. How involved are you? How close are you to the characters? Movement and time is the next category. So how are they shown? Through incomplete actions, linear continuance, distortion, left to right movement, continuous narrative, context of other pictures. How is movement and time created in this particular story? And then the last category is the relationship between words and pictures. So essentially, all of the criteria you've discussed thus far kind of lead up to this one. This one is like you're helping you to figure out your assessment of this book. Consider what's said and what's not. Consider what's shown to the reader and what's not shown visually. Consider the placement of the text. Where does it appear on the page? Why does it appear there? And the pacing of the page. How does the pacing of the page turns create suspense in the book? Okay, so that is the overview of this assignment. If you look at your book and you discuss each one of those criteria and you follow the directions on this assignment sheet, then I think you will be good to go. And as I'm watching your video, I'll have the assignment sheet right in front of me, and I'll just kind of be checking off the categories, the criteria as you discuss them, and just making sure that you do everything that it says up here and everything that it says down here, and you'll be fine. The good thing about a video is at least you can have a do-over. So if you are not happy with what you filmed, you can always go back and refilm. Okay, I hope that helps.